Cypress National Preserve, everyone. My name is Emma, and I'm a ranger here. And I'd like to know where you are all from.
We're from Brantford, Ontario.
Ontario. Welcome. Welcome.
We're from Tampa.
Tampa. All right. Welcome to Big Cypress. Is this your first visit here?
No, I think we've been here one more time.
On the way to Miami a couple of times, we stop here and no one's here. Yeah, when it's cloudy out.
Last time, yeah,
well, you know, our season's just starting, so pretty soon we're going to have tons of people out on these boardwalks. So you picked a pretty good time to come because right before the holidays, people are so busy with shopping. And speaking of shopping, anybody know why we're calling this place the Oasis Visitor Center?
No.
No clue? If I showed you on a map, you'd see that we're about halfway between Miami and Naples, where they have all those shopping malls for buying all those Christmas and Hanukkah holiday gifts. And some of those gifts you may be purchasing could be an alligator purse or boots or a belt. And out here in Oasis, it seems that these alligators like to hang out, and we like to hang out to get away from all that. But getting back to those purses, why do we take these beautiful creatures and make them into products?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But
Yeah, they're better in the water.
well, maybe we're doing it because we want to show those alligators, hey, don't you dare mess with me, because look what happened to the last guy who messed with me. He ended up as a purse. So that is probably coming from the skin of these alligators. And as soon as I hold this up, the alligators usually swim far away. But perhaps it's us who should be afraid. After all, those alligators that we see out on the canals, their ancestors were surviving with the dinosaurs. They survived a mass extinction, along with birds. They're both classed into Archosauria, and they were around over 250 million years ago during the Mesozoic era. So back then, they were probably pretty scary. They had, long, tall, heavily armored. Scientists believe that they were running around on their hind legs, so they were bipedal, and they were eating other dinosaurs. Wow. So
2 legs?
Yes. I know.
How
Lots
tall?
changed since then.
How tall?
Probably about 3 times taller than you are. Pretty tall.
Whoa.
So a lot's changed since then, but whatever has changed has worked out because obviously they're still around. So we're going to talk about some of those adaptations that have helped them survive. And some of you have props to assist me with this. So when I discuss an alligator adaptation that reminds you of a human invention, please don't be shy. I want you to hold it up for the group so you can see, okay? And
right.
I'll get started for everyone. I'm going to pass this around, but before I do, I want to show you that this is the belly of the alligator, and it's wonderful camouflage for those alligators because the light from the sun and the glare in the water is really difficult for fish to see there's an alligator up above. But it's also smooth, making for easier travel in the water. And this is the piece of the alligator that is traditionally used in the purses and belts because it's smoother, it's flatter. They also use the other side, which they call the hornback side. But it's hard to get a perfect purse out of an alligator. Let me pass that around for you all to see. Now, you'll also notice that's lighter in color, but the back of an alligator is what?
Dark.
Dark, it's black. And just like you here and you are wearing black, so on a day like today where it's sunny out, you're probably going to be a lot warmer than those of us who are wearing white. And that helps the alligator because
Oh, no, I want to touch that.
they are ectothermic.
This is my shoe.
They're cold-blooded. So they rely on getting their energy from the ambient temperature from the sunlight in order to digest their food, in order to catch their food and mate and do everything to survive. So we use something in our society that relies on the sun, don't we? Don't we?
Right here.
Solar panels, exactly.
Yeah, see, solar panels.
Does anybody
Picture
have solar
of...
panels on their house?
No.
Too expensive. Everybody says that.
You get a tax cut for that.
Nobody ever has it. Well, maybe if I keep doing this talk 5 years from now, maybe more people can afford it. I hope so. But what happens if you have solar panels on your house? What happens at night when there's no sun? How do you use the electricity? How do you use it?
In the generator, it saves, doesn't it?
A generator, or
battery.
you can store the in a battery. But the alligator has a battery too, because when the sun goes down, they need to have that residual energy, because that's when they're more active with catching their prey. And they have just that. Those ridges in their backs act like a battery to store some of the residual heat through these bony osteoderms or scutes. I'm going to pass them around so everybody can get a closer look at them.
Okay. Whoa.
You can put
I
them
don't want
in
to touch
your
anything.
video there.
I'm in the middle of filming, so hey.
So those scutes are going to help them to stay warm even at night. Now, those scutes and that tide is also very strong. Back in the late 19th century, early 20th century, people were not using guns to hunt alligators. No, they weren't using guns. The ammunition just wasn't as good as it is today. And besides, the alligator brain's pretty small. It's about the size of a walnut. So it's pretty difficult to kill an alligator. So instead, the hunting expeditions would go out with 2 men, and they would take with them a hook to hold down the alligator. They would call it hooking an alligator. And then a second man would axe the alligator's head. And that's how they were hunting the alligators. Because that hide was really tough and a very strong animal, you need to have some surefire medieval way of disposing the alligator. But that hide is also really helpful when the alligators fight one another. Sometimes they have skirmishes over territory, mates food, so that hide is really useful so they don't come out as wounded as they would otherwise. Now, somebody in our society uses something similar to this. Do we have any police officers here? Anybody in the military? All right, well, let me show you. I brought something. Here's a piece from a Kevlar vest. It's body armor. And this is just an example of some of the panels that are used in this bulletproof vest. And it's material that's tightly interwoven, and that's keeping the person wearing it from being shot and injured mortally. So kind of interesting stuff. Or like a knight in shining armor. Now, those alligators, they're pretty well protected, and they're even stealthy to boot. So those of you coming during a cloudy, stormy day who want to see alligators when it's cold outside may not even see them, because A, they may be staying underneath the water, holding their breath for hours at a time. But when they do come up to the surface for a breath, they can go straight up by adjusting the air in their lungs. So you may not see one, or you may just see the eyes or the snouts peering up around you like a World War II submarine with a periscope, looking for prey, looking to see what's around. So, not only that, if you're an alligator, you have to be able to see well at night, right? Because that's when you're going to be hunting the most. So they have superb night vision through a lucidum tatum. And what it is it's reflecting the available light outwards so that more of the light is available to special receptors in their eyes. Sort of like a house cat. You may see their eyes glowing at night. Alligators are very similar. At night you may see their eyes glowing green or red. And not only that, if you're going to be looking underwater to get some of your food, you're going to have to be able to see underwater. And they have a third eyelid called a nictitating membrane. Just like this gentleman here has goggles. So you can make that connection, but he thought I was going to make him jump in the canal and wrestle an alligator.
No, we don't do that.
I was hoping I would.
Oh, well, high
Next time.
five. You're really brave. No, I would never make anybody do that. You know, these eyes are so superb, but what did Little Red Riding Hood say to the big bad wolf?
Big eyes you have.
Big eyes you have. What better to see you with, my dears, right?
Yeah.
That brings me to my next question. Be honest and raise your hand if you are nervous about coming to South Florida where we have all those alligators.
I live here. I've lived here 40 years.
Lived here 40 years.
Yeah, I lived
okay,
here
well,
40 years, so it's no
nobody
big deal.
wants to be honest. Oh, come on. Well,
Being honest.
I'm a Marylander, and when I thought about moving to Florida, I thought, how can people live with all those alligators? But you know, we're actually not a part of their diet. So, what is a part of their diet? Well, fish is a big part of their diet. Wading birds that also eat small mammals like raccoons, opossum, otter. They'll even eat dead things and other alligators. They are cannibals, scavenging one another. They'll eat turtle snakes. There's a whole bunch of things that they'll eat, even your pet dog. So please don't bring your dogs on this boardwalk or close to the water's edge. Now,
They will eat them.
Exactly, because they eat them. So if we see any dogs, you're going to help me, be my eyes. We're going to say something. Now, when they do catch their prey, they have up to 80 teeth in their mouth at one time. And their teeth are sharp for ripping and tearing apart flesh because they are carnivores. But I'm going to pass around my teeth. I want you to notice that it's hollow.
Ah,
It's a hollow tooth. And that's because,
freaky.
like some other carnivores, like sharks, they can replace their teeth throughout their lifetime. So think of it as Dixie cups, where one tooth falls out, there's another tooth waiting in its place. In a lifetime, they could produce up to 6,000 teeth. Now, once they're stealthy, they can catch their food. Once they get it, they've got to be able to eat it as well. They lack opposable thumbs, so they may use another alligator to help them rip and tear apart the flesh, or they may stick it in their dens and let it ferment and tenderize over time. Yum. Very yummy. Now, when it gets cold outside, the alligators will sometimes cease to eat. Because if you don't have the sun and the warm water to keep them warm, keep their metabolism going, they won't be able to digest that food. It'll rot in their stomachs and they can actually die. But luckily here in South Florida, that doesn't happen too often, pretty rarely. But as it does get colder during the winter time, our dry season, they don't eat nearly as much. I would say on average, an alligator eats about once a week. So that wading bird next to the alligator, he seems just unperturbed that there's an alligator right next to him. Probably is good reason not to be worried. So, and we shouldn't be worried now, but we should still be safe around those alligators. But how do we do that? Stay away, yeah, keep a distance. 15 feet is a good, healthy distance to stay away from an alligator. So you don't want to get too close taking photographs or anything like that. What else?
What if you are like really close in a park?
And if you're really
They're not
close to
gonna-
the park, if you're going on a swamp walk,
Or if you're going on that bike ride down the
if
road.
you're going on the bike ride down the
They don't
road,
really bother you during the day.
yeah, typically they're not going to be bothering
Yeah.
you. As long as you're not going to be like stepping or kicking or feeding them, they're going to stay away from humans. But you raised an excellent point about feeding. It is illegal to feed alligators, and you would never want to do such a thing. Because once they're fed, they become accustomed to humans. Remember, I said we're not a part of that diet. So if I fed them a marshmallow or even brought a bologna sandwich and accidentally dropped some, not even meaning to feed them, I've just fed the alligator. That's why food is absolutely forbidden on these boardwalks, because you may accidentally spill. And your pet dog may accidentally jump over and try and catch that bird over there. And your child may accidentally climb up on here to get a better look and then fall under. Or some parents even hold them out like Michael Jackson to get a better look. Not a great idea either. So if you don't want the alligator to become an alligator purse, which is what happens to alligators that become a nuisance, don't feed them. Because I don't think we have any axe murderers here, do we? Okay, great.
No.
Yes, another one where
There we
nobody's an
go.
axe murderer.
There we go.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Now, they are a protected species because they are listed as threatened. Not because we don't have many of them. We have at least 1 million in Florida. But because of their similarity in appearance to the crocodiles, which we only have about 2,000 of them left in Florida. The only place in North America where we have crocodiles. And many people can't tell the difference, but they live
It's
in
the difference
saltwater
is their
environments.
snout, right?
Their snout. We'll talk about it if you want to know more about the differences. There's difference in color. We're not going to see crocodiles here also because crocodiles live in salt water and the alligators live in fresh water. Snout is U-shaped for alligators, V-shaped for crocodiles. Now, another way we can protect them is to obey the speed limit on the road. Ever heard of the Everglades speed bump? It's from people hitting alligators. We actually have a joke, how long can an alligator live? Until it crosses the road. So you're not only protecting alligators, you're also protecting the Florida panther, an endangered species, by following the speed limit and driving safely. And the most important thing you've done to protect alligators today, you may want to give yourselves a round of applause because you came to the talk. Good job, you learned about them.
Round of applause.
If you see somebody feeding an alligator, politely explain to them what you learned today and spread the knowledge. So thank you very much for coming today.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.